it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at Scrub Games, and today we are back with a second episode of my Road to Finals series. Those series put together just before finals, just to help you get prepared for finals and make sure you're aware of everything you need to and everything that can be useful, so you're prepared as much as you can. Just like with how we've been doing, how myself and the Lookout have been doing Road to Finals locals with proxies from the new set to help you prepare. I thought this event would be not event, but this series would be helpful to help you get as much information as you probably thought you might need or didn't know you might need to help you out with it. So before we get into the second episode, which is going over about how much will BT23 perfect combination impact the event, remember to help out the channel, and the best way you can do that is by giving the video a like, leaving a comment down below about anything if about on the chat, like on the video, on the channel, anything you want to see. Just leave a comment; it could be helpful, like to interact with you and answer the comments as best I can. And also, don't forget to subscribe; it helps you keep updated with my videos as when they drop. And we're on the way to 1,000 subs, trying to get there before the end of the year, which you can help out if you aren't already. And also, if you want to get notifications to when my videos do drop, so you can go ahead and watch straight away or know they're available to watch, go ahead and hit that notification bell, and that'll help you out there. So with that all out the way, let's go and have a look and discuss the topic of this video. So, how much will BT23 impact the event? So we got to think about, when you got to think about that, you got to think about what decks are in there, because most of the time, most things you got to think about is what decks are coming out in the set that could actually impact the event, like come into the meta, be actually meta viable, be casual, like how are they gonna impact? Like you could have, sometimes you've got sets where there's no decks that make an impact at all, they're just not great or not competitive enough to actually break in and be considered for like what to expect, what you might play against, to side against, stuff like that. Sometimes you get sets where you get a few or might be a lot of decks in the set that are competitive. You have to think about what you need to side in for it, how to prepare, how to play against them, things like that. And also, you need to think about what generic cards in the set do, or what old support, like legacy support, comes out to support older decks or give a certain color a big boost. So we're going to have a look and discuss that. First of all, we'll start with the leaders, because it's best to check out for leaders, and we go in color order, and then we'll go over about the generic cards, what cards coming out in the set that are quite generic that can help out older colors, or even not older colors, older decks, and then certain colors. So, as I said, we'll start off with the first colors, so we'll go in red. And the two decks we have for red are the red Future Gohan and, the normal Trunks deck. So, Future Trunks and Future Gohan deck. And then we've also got the red androids as well. So, red being the focus of the Android Cell Saga, with the more focus on the future timeline of Trunks Gohan fighting off the androids before he comes back. I think there's like a special about it where like you see about how what he went through before coming back, to like explain why he came back to help out. And both these decks, as you can see on the screen, they're both really competitive. Like these are both like really strong competitive decks. You might be getting like vibes of set 18 now, because it's kind of same as last year, where the red decks from the set before finals, before our EU finals anyway, were like very competitive, and these decks are both competitive as well, to kind of like put things you could potentially consider coming like good options to play for the set or watch out for the set. So we'll start off with like the hero side and the villain side to basically discuss like some of the things. So some of the things so with Gohan, he's got this big boss of the SS Trunks, self-taught traditional technique, a 8-drop dual attacker that can then get a third attack with his activate main as well. So that's the big boss of the deck, quite a strong one. Can come that like the minimum you can pay for this card is 2 energy, and you can use some Z energy to make the cost of the second effect to get 3 attacks in at 25k base, combo in a card from the drop to make it 30k in each swing, and even gives you some barrier removal plus a draw as well. So a very good card here for the deck, and it's also got a good floodgate, and you'll probably see this card the other deck, because this one is not locked to either deck. It's just for in general explosive dance. Imagine if you've been keeping up to date with Masters at the moment, then you'll know like how strong this card is. Just gives red a very strong floodgate with very little, or actually no at all downside, and no difficulty to be able to trigger it as well. Just if your leader's red, that's the cost. Neat attack. And additionally, if you've got if you're 4 less life with a Z extra in battle area, doesn't matter what color the spectra is. It could be blue, it could be red, it could be. I was going to go into the no, do that. You can just basically have it to trigger the floodgate, which is really good. And even though it doesn't seem like it doesn't work how it's worded in the card, because it's got an errata, because Banner just failed to actually word it correctly, so it got an errata to know it works like that you would expect. And these are basically the main things you need to worry about from the deck, and just a strong deck. Yeah, this is one of the competitive one. He's got a very strong lead, got a very strong strategy if you go and have a look at the cards as well. And this is, yeah, some main things that you could expect from the deck. Do we move on to red androids? And it has the same thing. It has a big boss as well. Like most decks have a big boss, being the android 17 and 18 domination achieved. And unlike the trunks, you can still pay this out for just basic 2 energy like the other one. Gets not as strong as the trunks, but still has some good pressure. And then you can even like drop this for free as well. If you have a look through it, you can get this for free off the Axel Dance. And just drop this free while leaving your energy open. This is a card that you can only drop at turn 4. You can potentially do that 4 energy for different plays. And this is more the aggressive one. Like the Trunks deck is more of a, well, the Creature Golem deck is more a combo based deck and a attrition based deck. Whereas this deck, it's more of an aggressive deck. Like it can be very aggressive, like put swarm aboard, put some like a lot of swings in, big swings as well, and just make your opponent have to like be on the back foot defending constantly. And to go with that as well, it also gets this red floodgate as well. Like say, as I said, it works for both ones. So he's got a very strong floodgate as well to help defend and almost sometimes in certain situations they'll just end your opponent's turn where they can't even really touch you or basically just have to pass a turn. So that is what both red decks do. So both red decks are very competitive for this next set, and they've got different ways to play. You can either be aggressive, like very aggressive attack, like constantly on onslaught with the androids, like in the series, or you can bide your time, get some combos, and grind out through attrition with the red Gohan deck. So that's red. Let's have a look at blue. So with blue is kind of like in the back, like isn't in the best spot. Like it's not got. It used to have like it used to be just like the best deck, like best leader in blue with all the good blue stuff. But it's kind of gone down a little bit. Like I think the hit the bean hit the bean via the errata kind of hit like a lot of decks, more like not just the blue decks but a fair few. And blue just has a harder time, especially when dealing with like aggro decks and some other decks being a lot stronger. And the blue decks in this set are not great. You've got the 2 decks you've got is the Goku Piccolo, because it's set on the Saiyan Saga for its theme, and it's got Raditz and then Goku Piccolo, and both of these have like a Z extra. Oh yeah, Z extra focus, and they're not as great as it can be. Like they got interesting stances, like playstyles, but they're not really like what I would say competitive for the upcoming meta for finals. So let's kind of like have a little dive into them. So start off with the good side first. We've got the Goku Piccolo. Has this big boss being the Piccolo combo with an old enemy, but there's not much free on it. It's not like the cards aren't that cheap for what they can do. Like blue, you normally think has a little bit of an easy time with like cost stuff, and what stuff costs isn't really that costly because you've got a lot of untapping and stuff. But it's more defensive on blue now. Like it's more defensive with a lot of blue decks. It's not really offensive to get your energy back. So you don't have the offensive bean is just a defensive tool now. And there's quite a bit of like tapping for other effects, not just playing the cards, but for doing other effects on cards, which makes it a little bit harder to spam out a lot of things like you used to be able to do. And with this Piccolo, you need at least 2 energy as well, because you need to play the 1 for the activate main, the play itself, and 1 for the activate battle to get some other skills. And it's not as great a payoff as some other generic stuff. And also the problem with this deck is that like takes it away from being potentially competitive to being more casual, is the fact that it's one of those leads we've got. We've only had like a handful of them where they don't have an awakening, but they have a way to flip themselves over. And some of them you have where they just flip over. They just don't have an awakening, but they flip over and they stay on that the backside. But everyone's that flip flop back and forth over like launch and stuff like that. That flip flop flip flop back, and this is one of those flippy floppy ones. And the way to flip isn't through anything in the leader, like with launch triggering certain easy ways to flip yourself back over to get like draws and stuff like that. For this one, you've got to use outside cards, and you've got a limited amount to them. Where like launch, you've got almost fit infinite amount right now due to the Z-Awaken mechanic. But with this one, you've got a limited way to like flip flop back, and that's because you need the way to flip over. I can't remember if it's from the front to the back or back to the front. It is through your Z extra, which is a cheap Z extra. It's only one cost one Z energy, but still you rely on that card to flip back over. So you've got a limited amount of time to flip back and forth. So once you run out of them, you're kind of stuck a little bit. But yeah, just rely on that to flip flop back, and also you're not like sometimes in certain situations if you either lose it or gain it, you're forced to flip back over. It just doesn't seem great for a competitive blue deck, in my mind. So I wouldn't expect like to see a lot of this when it comes to TD finals. Like potentially a lot of this. So then move on to the more like I say the stronger of the two of the blue decks, and that is the Raditz one. Now this one has an interesting one, and I know like when it was first revealed, it seemed quite hype because of like what it can do. But yeah, it's still quite. It's not so much like competitive as other decks can be because it's got like it's limited to what kind of like kind of cards, like it's heavily restricted to what kind of cards it can drop. Because you've got this Scouter card as the extra, which is like your focal point of the deck to kind of like play things a lot cheaper, free play stuff, and also get that a bit of knowledge to kind of control the game. And it's through just as long as you lead as a Raditz or Nappa in short term. But unfortunately, a Nappa card won't be legal for the event, but Raditz will. And in short term, like when your mono blue Raditz, Vegeta, or Nappa card is played, your opponent can reveals the card from the hand. Reveals their hand. So you get this, like anytime you play a mono blue Raditz, Vegeta, or Nappa, your opponent reveals their hand, so you get a look at all their hands to see what they've got in their hand, to know what they can play for what they can do against your turn, and what they can potentially do in their next turn with what you see there. And then you got the additional effect where if your opponent has a battle card with 15k power or less in hand, so if they got a weenie card, which is normally like a super combo or even like a cantrip, things like that. A lot of mostly every deck has those. Then you get to play up to one Raditz or Vegeta or Nappa card, all blue with 16k power, so that's the kind of restriction. All blue with 16k power and a different character name than the one you played from your hand. So you get the free play out a Raditz, Vegeta, or Nappa, but they've got to be blue with 16k power or less, like 16 power exactly, not 16 power or less, 16k power. So that kind of, and that's a good thing to like harder to attack over, where they got that extra 1k power to kind of make it easier to combat swings on them, but they're not as great for doing damage though, which is the thing. So very restrictive on that, and like especially when in a format now where you got 20k leads, having the combo up, having all these like weak battle cards you can just spam out, and having to swing up higher, like combo higher to basically try and push through damage, isn't that great, especially yeah for 20k leaders. But you also got a floodgate as well, which isn't amazing, but it's still floodgate nonetheless, and it's got a deflect to protect it. Just actually negates the attack like some like more floodgates are doing now, and then plays itself and can be reduced to cheaper as well, thanks to a permanent. And it's not as great because you need to have 3 more energy to have this as floodgate, and you need to declare a number, and a number is for regards to power as well. So you declare a number, and then if your opponent wants to play any battle cards that turn that you play and trigger this effect, then they have to place one card from the hand at the bottom of the deck, like they have to do with defending friends. But it's on power, so you have to guess like basically state a power, so 16k, 20k, 30k, something like that. And then if your opponent wants to play a card with that power for that turn that you trigger the effect, they have to bottom deck a card. So bottom deck a card to play at big power, like it's not too bad. It's kind of same as defending friends, but then it's like yeah. So you put those together, like sure, then you're bottom decking two to be able to play a certain card and attack with it. But if you're playing against a deck where they've got different power levels in their cards, like they're playing a lot of cards that have different power levels, then you have a harder time. But if you're playing against a deck that has like just the same power level amongst most of its cards, then you could have a better time. Force them to ditch a lot. But with different power levels on cards, you're gonna have to like kind of guess and hope you hit the right one. So that's why it's not competitive. It's still a fun casual deck. It's still a good casual deck. Could be good outside of that, but for a main strategy, like, well, for competitive strategy for finals, it's not going to be there, and you're not going to expect much of this. So that's it for blue. Then have a look at green. So for green, it's kind of got one of each. Like, it's got one competitive deck in the SS Trunks and My deck, and then you've got the more casual one in Zamasu and Goku Black. Like these both seem pretty good one, but yeah, with these two decks, you've got one that's clearly casual, being this Masu, like especially in. Got to remember with the format, it's going to be a bit more red heavy because red got a very good generic negate, and red is still one of those like a good strong color. It's just that new generic negate has helped every like red deck be a little bit stronger, be able to defend now, put out a lot of pressure, and have an easier way to defend. So it's going to be more of a red format, and green, like green could just can honestly get minor stuff, and essentially with Zamasu go black, a lot of their cards as a master are going to have indestructible, it means they're hard to remove. But the way you can get around indestructible is by reducing the power. So having a red focus format, whereas a lot of power reduction isn't going to be good when you've got a deck that had like their main protection of cards isn't barrier but indestructible, which could easily be negged to death by red. That's why it's a lot more casual. Like it looks like a good lead, especially in a a green Saiyan lead. You got access to some good green cards, but for finals in a red focus meta, you're not going to have a good time. So that's why I feel like Zamasu and Goku Black being a decent deck, but not a competitive one. It's a more casual one, and that's where we come to Trunks and Mai. This is a bit more competitive because it's got a strong way to finish, and it's got a good bit of draw power, and also considering that how it plays. You're not gonna like the main thing that kind of hurt the deck. You're not gonna see much play in side decks because it doesn't do much use against ever competitive like top meta decks. So this could be competitive and basically get away with it by the main card that's gonna hurt it, not really be like something that people consider siding and stuff like that. But if they do consider siding ready for it, they can hurt. So let's kind of discuss these two a minute. So start off with the good side. The big reason why I feel like the green Zamasu, well no Zamasu, the Trunks and my deck is a competitive one because it's got like a clearly strong win fest. It's got all the good green stuff, especially it's a green Saiyan, a lot of good green stuff. Green's got a lot more good generic and strong cards you can put into it. Plus it's got a like small bit of hand control, which considering like there's not a lot of green decks that are amazing. Because remember when green got a boost, it was from Gohan, and just like with Sin and SS4, they didn't boost red. They're just two obscene strong decks. It didn't matter what color they are. It didn't matter what color they were printed in, they would have been insanely strong. But they boosted themselves. Not that like red wasn't like risen up. Red didn't rise up because of those two decks. Those two decks rose up while the rest of red just stayed the same. And the same with green. When we got the green Gohan deck, like Gohan just like flew up and just became like a heavy meta deck straight from the get go. But the rest of the green decks didn't really gain anything from anything for Gohan. They just green stayed the same, but Gohan just was a big player in the format. And that's one of the things like there's because where there isn't a big like a lot of green in the format that like consistent and strong, like people were on Go Bros, but it it just like dropped off. It was good for a bit, but then Gohan's been like the go-to green deck, and like we've seen with most decks, if there's like an insanely strong deck for a color, and it's very easy to play, people will flock to it because it's just easy to play, or you can like get them wins without requiring much effort or fault. People jump to it. That's why green is not really that played much outside of Gohan. But this one could be very good because you've got a good way to finish and push it through as well. Because you've got this really good boss card that doesn't need much to set up. Comes down, pops like annoying barrier and indestructible as well through on its swing. Comes down for quite cheap for just 2 energy once you have 3 or more energy, so you can play it. Unlike other decks that require your opponent to be at 3 or more, like some big boss cards in green, this one requires just you be 3 or more, so you're not really restricted to your opponent having a certain kind of energy cost. But then he's got a great way to finish off where like activate battle, like once you've got 4 more energy and you switch 3 Earthling tokens to rest, you then get to give it like extra 5k power plus also give it triple strike, so you can put that through, and you can force that through thanks to the Final Hope / Humanity Secret Weapon. So this is your help to push. because it's a Z extra you can play out and just leave there from the earlier turns if you've got time to just put it out there and leave it there. So Z extras are hard to interact with. There's like very niche ways to interact with it, and any niche way is like very costly. But it helps you push it through because just as long as your lead's green, like basically this leader, and your opponent gets to 4 more energy, which if they want to restrict themselves to just having 3 energy, then that's decent. You can keep charging your energy to make sure you have more plays during the following turns, where they're restricted to keeping their energy light just so they can stop you from helping push through this card. And you can switch just free everything goes to rest, which is going to be easy enough. Then the next time you basically attack with this big boss card, this big future Trunks, your opponent can't activate counter, which means they can't use any negate against it. Well, the only really way they can use the negate against it is in black. That's it, just in black, using the Gohan rare, the black Gohan rare, to help stop the attack. But any other deck that doesn't have that, they can't negate the attack. Well, you got Janemba as well, but there's one specific deck that you're not going to see much of, and then one thing in black, where if you go against black and they've got enough, and they've got it set up though, and you get to just force through your you just get to force through your Trunks, and force through a triple strike. So the only way they can deal with it is to basically just say, yeah, I've got to get rid of the card beforehand, which if they got no way to kind of like neg the skills of it like kind of yellow does, or like kill it mid battle, which an 8 drop is kind of difficult to do, especially at 35k power, then they're gonna have to combo out of it. So it's got a nice way to push, and it's got a good bit of it seems to have quite a bit of good draw power for a green deck, so that could be a nice one as well. And it's also got some nice good like with the new like good green cards green has, it could be quite decent. I reckon it could be quite competitive for the format. It could be a good choice. So that's that for that one. And then for Zamasu, you've got some good stuff. Like it's more like it's the first forced tricolor deck because it's got a whole lot of other things that require like if you have 3 or more colors and stuff or things like that, then you go for it. And it's got a lot of multicolored cards, but the good thing about it is even though it's got quite a few multicolored cards, it's still got a ways to make it sort of not too dead in hand for like permanent, reduce the combo cost of them by 1 and 5k. So not just got a lot of 1 cost 10k's in hand. They come down to being normal 0 cost 5k's that you actually combo if need be. And you got some good cards in it. Like it is a pretty interesting deck. You got some good things. Like you got this Zamasu here that gives you extra draw. Just when it attacks, you draw a card, and then you rest on your opponent's battle cards. And you can bring it out for 2 energy just mid battle, and pop something at 6 or less as well. It's very easy to pull off, and it's a check land as well. And has the indestructible, which is only not great against kind of red and yellow, because red can neg through it and yellow can kind of negate skills in it. And you got the board wipe 7 drop Zamasu, which is easy to drop for free on top of a Zamasu you can get out during your opponent's turn. And then when it comes down, just pop everything to your opponent's on your opponent's board, ignoring barrier. That's 7 or less, so you can kind of like board wipe, which is quite good. And once again, never check land, also with double strike and 30k as well. You got some interesting cards in there, but where it's going to be a red focus format and indestructible doesn't do well against red with minusing, like it doesn't survive like it could with other colours, then you're not going to have a great time when your board's just constantly getting negged by that. So that's why I feel it's a lot more casual. And then we come down to the last colour being yellow, because that's right, black didn't get any cards at all, not even cards, didn't get anything in the new set. There's no black cards, it's just literally red, blue, green, yellow, multicolours, and then secret rares. No black cards at all. And we got yellow, and yellow's got also 2 decks, and just like with green, it got 1 competitive deck and 1 more casual. Like the Kefla one is quite good, but it's more casual compared to like what you expect from stuff. It's supposed to be more like, because remember with meta, it's most effective tactics available, and the most effective tactics that Kefla have isn't meta. It's like isn't that great. It isn't that effective. So let's have a look into these, because this one's a really strong one, and it's kind of like the boogeyman of the set, because it's in a very good color in yellow, and it's got a very good way to like draw and generate and get to what you want, kind of like thin for the deck, and just it got some very strong plays, and it's got something unique that like that most decks don't have, which is like an alternative strategy. Like most decks, it's like, yeah, I just got to kind of kill you, push your life down to 0, like make you take all your life just to win the game. Well, like some decks that have like an alternative way to win, and this one has it through like the effect of burning life. And the main way you burn life, you got a slow way to burn life, which is the 4-drop in the set, along with the Sim Z extra, and you got the 6-drop Goku, which can burn quite a lot of life in one go. So that's one of your options for the burn play, and then you got the scary play, which up until now has been like a huge debate in the judge Discord about like what cards actually work against it, how you can stop it. And up until the actual release of the set and the like QA update, it was very scary because it seemed like it unless you can counterplay it and stop it, like yeah, unless you can counterplay it before it comes in, like negative skills or make it come in rest or anything like that, it can come down. It can't be stopped by any extras, leader effects, unisons, or anything like that. It can't, no effect other than battle cards can affect it. And then when it does, if you do want to affect it by battle cards, because battle cards can affect it, then you need to tap 2 of your cards just to be able to resolve any effects for each effect on a battle card. So if you want to play a card, play a battle card by a skill, tap 2. If you want to use an effect on it, tap another 2, which can be quite costly. And because of like where battle cards are counted, like in battle cards only count as battle cards in the battle area, I think it is just battle area, then you can trigger you can't use any effect like in hand as a battle card negate to stop it until now. With the new update to the QA guide, it's now revealed that you can negate this card's attack with a battle card negate. You still have to pay the rest 2 cards as the additional cost thanks to the permanent, but you can actually negate it with battle card negates now, which is great, which is huge. Because before it was you can't negate it with a tool, so when it attacks, you can't stop it. The best thing you can do is hope for like you've got a flight like Ground Eagle to just go give my leader 10k and hope they can uh, combo too high that you can't get out of it. So yeah, it's a scary play, but it's not always going to be the secret rare for the deck. But if you can get it, it's a scary one, but it's not as scary now, thanks to the fact now you can negate with battle card negates, and yeah, it might be the best secret rare for the deck, but it's still a very strong scary one because if you're not prepared for it and you've got nowhere to negate it, and then you're gonna have a hard time once it comes on the board unless you can deal with that the secret rare plus potentially the 6-drop coming down while this 8-drops on board, like make you have a more of a cost any battle card plays, then yes, could be a scary deck to worry about. So do be on the lookout for this one because it's more the more competitive deck out the yellow one, sorry. And then for the yellow one, the Kefla, it's got some plays. Like you got the early play of using the Kale stuff, like dropping Kale battle cards and having Kale as Rampage, come and give him a boost and stuff like that. To kind of like put some pressure on early, and then when it comes to more later plays, then you start dropping your Kefla cards. And the big boss of the Kefla deck is this 8-drop, because it's got an effect where when you drop it down, you can KO something for ignoring barrier in some rest mode. Like yellow's thing is if he wants to KO things, even if it's ignoring barrier, he's got to be in rest mode. But it can have a restriction of making it so your next charge phase you can only switch up to 4 of your cards active mode. So I have a restriction there, and it can be played during your player's turn. Because there was a whole dispute about this as well, about when it can be played because it's got a mention of your battle, like your damage step, like the fact it uses your damage step rather than the damage step. People were going having hissy fits about like, oh, it says your damage step, so it's only your turn, blah blah blah, and it's not a fix to say you can play it during your player's turn. It's just the damage step, not supposed to be yours. But still, like it's not as effective as the Ever Yellow one and Ever Yellow strategies, but like it's more casual play, so I wouldn't expect to have this impact much in the meta, or expect to see much of it. But as it's more casual one, so it's not one expected. You more expect the U7 Goku deck. So that's the 8 decks you get in the new set, and then we go on to some more generic cards. And there's only really 2 generic cards that are in the set that I feel like it isn't a set where there's many generic cards that are going to be used in a lot of decks. You got the green like the green Gohan. No, sorry, the green Trunks you can have as another big boss card for green decks, but there's not many green decks that are played outside of Gohan because yeah, people don't always take the time to learn, like to focus on decks, just because like all the different decks you've got available that could be played. Like the majority of the community just like to go with the easier decks to play rather than invest time. You get like some players that invest time into specific decks because they like the character or they like the deck and put time in it and do well with it, and you get the majority of people who just go with the easier decks to play that can get them wins, like decks that just carry them. And in this, there's not many generic ones. Nat Trunks, what is a good like green boss monster that's generic. It's it's not going to be as great as, say, like you got the 8-drop Goku Gohan. You also got the 8-drop Go Bros one. You got like Fate Rebels, stuff like that. You got ever big card like boss cards that just do as well, and it's got no protection for like deflect or barrier. And the only benefit it's got is that it relies on your energy rather than your opponent's energy, and it can hit things that are indestructible. But indestructible's not going to survive in a red focus meta. But the more generic cards in this set are going to be Explosive Dance for red, being the best red floodgate and the one that has brought the entire color of red up, because any red deck can play it. Especially with the anniversary box, you've got every color's got a generic Z extra they can play in their deck for just 1 energy, 1 Z energy. And that's all you need for this deck to be live, just to have a Z extra on play and 4 less life to have that floodgate trigger. No discarding, just pay 1 energy to use the effect, actually negate the attack, and then at 4 less life with the Z extra in your battle area, get this floodgate going. Absolutely busted. Like, this is one of the few things like this has actually brought up a whole color, and then you've got like a not a bad blue floodgate for Ranitz if you want an extra one of that. It is costing 2 energy, but then blue doesn't need to worry too much about his energy because it's always got a lot of untap, especially on defense. So, and against certain decks, if they've got a most amount of cards have the same kind of power, it can hit quite a good amount. But otherwise, they've got different kind of powers. You have to kind of hope you hit the right one. But these are the main only real 2 cards in the set that are kind of generic that you can expect, where the other ones are the more deck focus. So that is a nice, well, a bit of a longer episode about how much will BT23 impact the event. And as we've seen, both red decks you probably expect to see at the finals. They make a good impact. They're quite strong. Blue's not really going to make much of an impact from this new set. You've got one in green, be the green Gohan that could potentially impact it and be a good one to take and expect to see. And then for yellow, you expect to see the U7 Goku deck, because it's just got a scary secret rare that people might use. But luckily it can now be get with battle cards, and it's got a scary way to kill as well with burn as well, especially when it's got a cooler counter force. And then these are probably the most generic cards from the set that could be brought out to splash for their colours, mainly Explosive Dance. So that's it from me today. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and catch up with me tomorrow when we have the next episode 3 for the series. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.